Okay, so let's do a quick summary of where we're at because this webinar series is more than just teaching you guys how to use the system. And obviously that's important to be able to use the system, right? To be able to do your inspections, do your service calls, and track your sales and all that good stuff. But there's a bigger picture here. There's a life cycle philosophy. Every one of your customers has a roof, and their roof travels through its own natural life cycle from when it was put on to when it needs to be put on again. And the life cycle really is a philosophy on how your company can benefit throughout each of those stages. Beginning with phase one, we call inspect, where it's the start of the relationship. It's where you capture some baseline, just where you show value and everything like that. If you're called out to a facility to give a replacement bid, do an inspection and really look at it. I mean, they may ask for a replacement bid, but we all know statistics say 85% of the time you're asked for a replacement bid, they will not do that replacement that calendar year. So it's a major opportunity for client retainage. Show up, do an analysis. It may not even need to be replaced. You ever talk someone out of a replacement? That's the goal, is to take care of them, park them in service, let service do their part, and then get the replacement in the end. So that's benefiting throughout each of the stages within the life cycle. So phase one is inspect. We then have the ability to take that data, connect with our clients through budgeting tools. Whether you do this with them or you give them a printed report, it's all still accomplishing the same thing. But we talk about stocking the shelves with products that you sell, which is roofing. You sell repairs, you sell replacements, you sell service, right? You sell maintenance, whatever you do. We talk about how each of the sections can be thought of as a shelf, and each store or each roof you visit can be thought of as a storefront you open up. You won't be able to sell anything if you don't record the repairs, right? So through the inspection, we populate the shelves and we can deplete the inventory, the products you sell, through various channels, through service channels, through salesmen, just being able to get in front of your customers and take that data along the way. Phase three represents the first transaction, and this marks the spot of which you just earned a new customer. So very significant step because you're now set up in their system as a vendor. You're in a position to continue to do business moving forward. And if you do an inspection and you don't have a sold repair at least, or replacement opportunity, if you leave there without that first transaction, you're not in their system as a vendor. In other words, 3 weeks later, if they all of a sudden have a leak, they're going to go to their system or tell Cindy to look into their system and say, "Get me, a roofer." And they're going to type in ROOFER into their system, and you will not show up. So you want to show up in that system. So even if it's a really small repair, earning a new customer is very significant. That's what this phase was all about. Phase four is dispatch, and it's the way that they service their facilities, right? It's the way that they handle their leaks, and you're collecting more information. You're storing it online. You have work order repair history. You have the service dispatch history, but more so, the service department is taking care of the customer, right? Providing great customer service, showing up when they say they're showing up, communicating when they're going to be out there, right? And as long as they do their part, it brings us to where we are today, which is the propose phase. So eventually, we're going to propose a replacement. And if we did a good enough job throughout the first 4 phases, then we should have the best shot, in the end, to be able to get there. And a sneak peek at upcoming webinars, we're going to talk next week about tracking our sales efforts, what you can do within the system to determine close rates, determine who's maybe better at at working with specific types of customers. We'll talk about setting up your products in the system, the close, which is a really cool webinar. It's all about the close, right? It's what pays the bills. It's what keeps everything moving. Scheduling these jobs, so it's really the handoff from sales to production. Tracking the different jobs, what we can do to stay on top of the jobs, communicating with our customers, right? Marketing through what we call OPMs, online project management emails. And this last couple of phases are sort of combined, so there's 10 total webinars, since, repeat isn't a total webinar in itself. But taking these OPMs and how we can utilize them to create more opportunity within the same companies that you're working with, beginning with new inspection opportunity, working its way all the way through to budget, repair, and the rest of the life cycle. So a quick rehash of what we've covered so far. And those of you that have hopped on while I was in the middle of that, this week is a little bit different. It's more so as a workshop, intended to be a workshop. And I don't know if you're seeing that original document that I shared within your panel. You have a section called handouts. You might see 2 copies. That's okay. But I've uploaded a file called Firestone EPDM Fully Adhered Roofing Systems document. It's a Word doc. And I wanted to be able to show you guys how to take a Word document, load it into the system, save it, so that essentially you can replace the network you currently use to access your proposal templates with an online or a web-based system. You should be able to download that, and hopefully everyone here can do that. You're not required to follow along, obviously. It's certainly beneficial if you have 2 monitors to be able to do this or be able to pull this off. I'm going to start off with an overview of the different components that make up the Documents tab, or the ability to create a document within the system. The first section is the attachment library. You may know of this as CloudBox, right? The attachment library, or CloudBox, is the centralized cloud storage that allows you to use it in a few capacities. One, a very simple way to just fetch files, brochures, company literature, warranties, things like that, whether you want to print them off or you want to email them to a list of prospects. These are also used within document creation. Whenever you are assembling a bid, you can include these documents within your bid. All right, and then it's also used where you can upload maybe a custom report cover because you'd like to spend a little extra time on a report for a really important customer. You can also upload terms and conditions here. So some people like to attach terms and conditions to the back end of an inspection report. So there's 3 sections within the attachment library that you can upload documents to. Most of the time you're going to use the general section. All right, so I have different files in here. I'll show you my examples. I have a warranty. I got a Firestone brochure packet, but this warranty here is just our company warranty. I have roof colors, right, so they can pick out the type of the color of metal, or if we're painting a system on. I have a GAF savings sheet that just really breaks down what they would save, right? Firestone brochures. I got a client portal user manual for my customers to teach them how to use my customer portal. Brochures. These are brochures that we provide you guys with 8 pages or 7 pages that really talk about what the offering is. Care and custody of a roofing portfolio, access to their buildings at the palm of their hand, the ability to map them out, export out reports, navigate inspection reports, dispatching, and all of that stuff. So just some examples of what I have inside of my library. So I'd recommend to spend a few minutes and populate yours. You'll see that even as you're just emailing a simple inspection report to a customer, you can check off anything in this list. Right, so you send them an inspection report, and here's a reference of a few other jobs we did in the area. All right, the next component really is the property, and I'm going to go to a property that has at least a little bit of data, like this one. The next component, guys, is the file cabinet, right? So there's a cloud icon on every company and every property in your system. And this is where you can load in maybe past proposals that you've done. A lot of contractors are on a mission to empty their file cabinets and just put it into a system. I hear so frequently that you're called out to do or give a replacement number, and your company was already out there 3 years ago, but yet you did all of the work again anyway, or someone else, a past inspector did the last bid, but you have no idea where that's located at. So that's the beauty of being able to empty the file cabinets, right? Have it accessible online. So this file cabinet or cloud is also used within document creation. This is pulling property or company specific files. So if I go to a property, you can actually upload building specific documents. So in this file cabinet, I have a couple of safety reports I've done, and I have a few proposals that I did. Here's a permit. If you want to add documents, just click add a document. These are either general documents or the warranty documents. If you choose warranty, this kind of follows suit with the entire warranty tracking module. General files, you choose a section, if any, upload the file, put a title to it, and you can even choose if it's displayed inside of your client portal or not. All right, so that's the next component. The third is the actual documents tab itself. So this doesn't require a ton of setup. It's really build as you go, and if you like that or you think you're going to reuse that template, save it so you can access it next time. And real quick, guys, if you have any questions at all, do jot them in. Can you add other document types? I think you're asking if you can upload other file types to the system, and you certainly can. You can upload any type of file. It's going to download the same file type. So if your client clicked view, it would download it. So if you upload an Excel spreadsheet and you clicked view on it, it's going to download that Excel spreadsheet so you can view it. Only PDFs will fit inside of the documents tab. So if you're creating a document, it's only going to bind or merge documents if they're in a PDF format. So that was a good question. Yes, using the documents, the online document storage can be any file type. All right, so in the documents tab, I'm on a property, I've done a past inspection, and I'm going to take you through how to create a replacement proposal. So we'll show you that. Now, at an overview, the Documents tab has basic Word functionality, right? We have our fonts, editing, formatting. We can copy and paste. We can do find replace. We can insert lines. We can insert signatures, different things like that. On the top left, I guess I'll start on the left side and work down, but include company header. So if we want to include the system company header, which will pull the company logo and also the property information. If you don't want that, then you would uncheck it and you would create your own header. I'll show you what that looks like. We have custom footer. If you check custom footer, it exposes the bottom portion of this document to be able to do your own footer. Templates. This is where we get into accessing that Word file. So get that ready if you do want to follow along. This is really a list of templates that I currently have in the system, and I'll just demonstrate for you. If I selected one of them, it's going to pull in my whole template based on how I saved it. So if I'm starting fresh, let me just do a new document. If I'm starting fresh, what I'll do is I'll open up Word. or wherever you have your templates at. And I'm going to drag Word over here, but basically I have the standard proposal that I normally use for this type of system that I'm bidding. I will come in here and go Command A to select everything, or Control A. I'm on a Mac, sorry. In a perfect world, you would clear the formatting prior to pasting it into FCS. If there's a lot of formatting, you can give it a shot to see if it's going to hold all of that. So I'm going to leave it how it is, but I just copied all of that text. I'm going to go back to FCS and I'm going to do Control V. And it's going to paste all of that in here for me. Kind of a long one. From here, you can also clear the formatting. You can go Format, Clear Formatting, and it's going to allow me to reformat it inside of the system. That's the safest bet, but it's always worth a shot to see if it's going to hold the formatting. I know different versions of Word has different functionality, different formatting. But what I'll do is I'll spend a little time getting this to look how I want it to. Maybe increase the header here, maybe do company, right, and property, different things like that. And really my goal is to get this set up to where it's minimal work every time I pull this document. And in a few minutes, I'll talk about variables in which we can help accomplish that. But I'm going to start off easy here. So company, American Legion. And the property is, I think, what, Chiller Services? American Legion Cascade. You know, and I might do the address too, 123 Main Street. You get the point. If this is something that I change each and every time, which it is, you can even do some highlighting just to remember to go back and actually do that. So how do I do highlighting? It's this one. So maybe I'll outline that in yellow just so I remember each time, or I highlight each part of the bid that I actually change or tweak each time. You can certainly do that. I might come all the way down to the bottom here and then plug in. That's really long. I'm going to delete some of this. I mean, I used the world's longest document. But something that you might want to add, or have a separate document that you include, which is the signature page. But something would be, you know, I have my price. And then I'll do a signature too. Right? However you have yours formatted or like to have it formatted. I'm just playing around with mine. Now, a very basic version of this, I'm going to stop here and generate this so we can all see what it's going to look like in the end. Then I'm going to come back and talk about some of the more advanced functionality of the document's creation. On the right side, we have the ability to save as working copy, which means maybe I'm not quite finalized with the price, so I'm not ready to send this yet. You can hit save working copy and be able to come back to it. And I'll show you how that works. If you just click save working copy, it's basically going to save a live view of that. So working copies show up in your list here. If you click on it, it's going to pull exactly what you had when you left off. All right. Variables, I'll talk about that in a second. It's an advanced feature, but this is most important. Now, include in proposal has the ability to always include the inspection report first. And this is going to pull the last generated inspection report for this property. All right, after the inspection report, you have your entire attachment library that is available to you. So if I want to include some brochures, I want to include a warranty, and I'd also like to include Firestone brochures. So this is what I would like to include. You also have include from cloud, which begins to pull the property specific files. All right, that would be this property's current warranty for maybe another section, or this property's roof drawing. If you have FCS takeoff or estimate, you have the ability to pull over the drawing that you did within takeoff. All right, I don't have one in this property. Maybe if we have time, I can show you that. But after I've checked everything that I want to include, I'll come back up and I'll either click send or save. Send creates the document, puts me into an email environment. Save purely saves this proposal to the property's cloud. So I can call this Toolbox Talks proposal. And I'll click save proposal. What this is doing is it's taking first the inspection report, then the template, and then all of the attachments. It's then binding all of these different elements into a central document that we can push off to our customers. My dad always talks about sending a lot of attachments to your customer for a replacement bid. They always push that email you sent with 7 attachments off to their boss, and a few attachments might fall off of that, or the person you sent it to took off the parts that they think maybe are not so important. This makes it so they can't do that. It's one document. It's a hyperlink to the document. It's sending it all as one, and you can't really break it out unless you did a lot of extra work. Can the proposal be auto-named based on variables? Can the proposal be auto-named based on variables? It's 2 different actions. If you hit save proposal, you have to name it. If you hit send, it's going to auto-name it with proposal dash today's date. So that's the auto-name function, is, the send. So you would do send to be able to accomplish that. So I think I chose like a lot of stuff here because this is taking a little bit of time. But again, it's creating one document that's going to stamp inside of the cloud, where we don't have to email this off right now. We can download it, hand deliver it if we want to. But the benefit of emailing any document within the system is that it's going to email a hyperlink to that document versus emailing the full size of the file. So some of these replacement proposals can get to be really large. Sometimes, see, that didn't generate for me, and I'll tell you exactly why. Sometimes if you upload a file that's not a PDF and you try to include it anyway, it won't include that. It'll actually break your link. So let me just go back in and retry that. Make sure too, when you have your attachment library, mine's kind of old, that you click on all of those links. All of those links should open up just fine for you. And what I mean by that is go to your attachment library and click view on each one of these files to make sure that it actually views. So let me load my working copy real quick. And that working copy will stick around until I actually delete the document. We'll let that load. Let me come down. I want to include my inspection report because that has repair options in it. And that's really how we arrived at needing to propose a replacement. I'm going to skip over the brochures. One of these brochures are a broken link. I'll do Firestone. I know those work. I know the warranty works. And I don't know about these cloud files here. So we'll just leave it at that. I'm going to hit send this time just to show you that it does auto name it. And then while this is generating, I think I hit send. That's going to basically bring us into an email environment to where we can first preview it. We can preview by clicking on the link. But there's also some more flexibility too on the email screen because we can check off anything that's inside of our attachment library as well. How do I tell if this is loading? Another question, which is about the formatting. Do you recommend to clear the formatting in Word or within the system? And to be honest with you, I would try to get away with not clearing the formatting first. Send the document, because chances are it might even just take your formatting. But I have seen some things, kind of, hidden characters, weird formatting happen. But either way, if you clear it in Word or you clear it in the system, it's going to do the same thing. Once your file generates, it brings you to, like I said, this email environment. If I'm bidding to multiple contractors, I have that. If you have that module turned on, you can bid to multiple GCs. It says you are sending a file attachment view. This is the ability to preview this file. It's always going to show you who you can send this to, which will pull company and property contacts that you have stored within the record. If I clicked preview, we'll go ahead and see what this looks like. It's kind of large. Like I said, the first part of this document is the inspection report. Right, and we've all seen what the inspection report looks like. Observations, there's the deficiencies, here's my budget matrix, and here's my proposal to do repairs. So I'm always providing two options: repairs, replacement. Here's my document. All right, and I didn't get rid of that yellow highlighter. But the company, or the system header, if you have that box checked, is going to pull a customer, property, and logo. If you want to use your own header, you want to uncheck that box. Or if your header is a part of your template, you want to uncheck that box when you generate. All right, and then basically exactly how that document looks on the Documents tab is how it's going to look on the PDF. All right, I kind of went a little fast there. After my template, it gets into my attachments. So I attached the Firestone brochures. And then I also attached right,